Hello, and welcome to another Soulforce music case study here. This time with someone I'll call Jayden. So here we go. We're going to get right into it, talk about what's going on for Jayden. He's a conservatory age flute student, and then as well how Soulforce music could support him. So here we go. Jayden is 19 years old. He grew up in an upper middle class suburb of Philadelphia. He's played flute since he was 9 years old. He took to it right away and now is a formidable player. He loves to read classic literature such as Dostoevsky, and he watches anime films. He has a YouTube channel where he posts videos about anime and flute, videos of himself playing pop tunes on the flute. Jayden has a real joie de vivre and loves hanging out with his friends and identifies as pansexual. He wants to be a professional musician because he loves playing the flute and he loves being better than all of his classmates at something. Flute was the only place in his life where he felt really safe, being a sensitive boy. Jayden loves expressing himself through music and showing off his flute skills. He's a big music nerd and listens to lots of classical music along with K-pop. His parents support him in being a musician, but they really wanted him to be a doctor. They know he has a talent and feel proud of him. They want him to enjoy playing music, and they also instilled a good work ethic into him. They are moved by his music and want his music to be heard by the world. Jayden has a curious mind. Reads literature and about Buddhism. He's even done LSD once with his friends while in the woods and loved it. He was principal flute of the Pennsylvania All-State Orchestra and has won other youth competitions. He's enrolled at Temple and it's stressful there, but he loves being surrounded by music. He practices 2 to 3 hours a day. He finds some of his classes exciting, but others are downright dreary. He was principal flute of his All-State Orchestra and has won other youth competitions. He's enrolled in Conservatory, where it's stressful for him, but he loves being surrounded by music. He practices 2 to 3 hours a day. He finds some of his classes exciting, but others are downright dreary. Before college, he would often get butterflies in his stomach while playing, but now it's turned into real performance anxiety. Playing for all his peers in the flute studio masterclasses is the worst. The joy of playing music is beginning to fade because of all the stress, and he's beginning to be afraid of losing the joy of music altogether. He has vague thoughts about having an orchestral music career or a solo performing career or trying to make it on YouTube. He also longs to do some travel abroad. Another challenge is that he's getting more tense when he's playing and has developed chronic pain in his shoulder. He's gone to physical therapy and does his exercises, but they don't really seem to help. The pain is manageable, but it doesn't seem like it's going away. So that's about Jayden, and now I'd like to share a little bit about how Soulforce music could support him. So, first of all, it's so great to hear about young people who are enthusiastic about playing music. There's a reason we get into this, right? It's this creative thing that we get to do. And there's a lot of independence and freedom and also connection and community in being a musician. And, it's also true that for some of us, when we go to conservatory, we tend to lose sight of what's really important to us. And I don't know about you, but when I was in conservatory, technique and repertoire building were what we focused on. And while those are both essential for musicianship, well-rounded musicianship. The well-rounded part was something that was left out of my own training. And this is really where Soulforce music shines. There are 5 pillars to being a Soulforce musician. The first is to be able to play from the heart. I had to figure this out on my own, and I always thought that it was something that happened spontaneously, just getting swept up in the moment in a performance. But in the Soulforce Music School, we teach a method of very, very reliably being able to play from the heart, so your performances become just filled with vitality and sensitivity and aliveness. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is being able to release excess tension, and this is where the Alexander technique shines. So, indeed, actually, the way that I discovered this particular method of playing from the heart is through the Alexander technique, through seeing my students let go of tension and hearing the amazing music that they made afterwards. Letting go of tension is so important. Holding tension in your body is like driving around with the e-brake on in your car. The Alexander technique is learning how to let go of the e-brake. Third pillar is learning how to care for yourself compassionately. Musicians are known for being really hard on themselves, especially conservatory trained musicians. And we have very few self-care tools that we're given, really. And so part of Soulforce music training is figuring out and discovering which self-care tools work best for your life, and finding ways of incorporating them into your daily life so that your overall level of well-being can be raised. And when your overall level of well-being is raised, then your music is better too. Your life is better and your music is better. And that's really one of the other core principles of Soulforce music, is that your art and your life come from the same place within. And there's a wellspring within. And if you're feeling good in your life, then your art's going to get better. These things are connected. And the fourth pillar is knowing that you're the gift. So this one's a little bit harder to understand right off the bat, a little less familiar. What this means is, and this is tied to performance anxiety for sure. So we often think of sharing our gifts as a musician. However, what we believe at the Soulforce Music School is that when you play, it's you that's the gift. And, like, for instance, when I go watch some music, a musical performance, or whatever it happens to be, I often don't really care what piece is being played or what style or anything. I have my preferences. But what I really want to hear is this person, their essence coming through. And no amount of technical training or repertoire building can make up for a lack of connection to the gift that you are. And at the same time, if you are in touch with that realization that you are the gift when you play, then all that repertoire building and technique building is going to serve you so well. So this is the thing about technique and repertoire building. It has to be in service of something larger than themselves, those two goals in themselves. And that's really one of the big questions with performance anxiety. What are you serving? What are you doing this for when you play? Are you doing this for approval? I mean, that's a very human need, right? And at the same time, if your parameter of success in a performance is getting 100% of the notes right, or else you'll lose the approval of your teacher or peers, that's a really stressful state to be in. You know, getting 100% of the notes absolutely perfect, flawless, is really, really hard. And there's a lot of uncertainty in that, because even one wrong note collapses the whole story of success. Means failure, right? And so it's like standing on a knife's edge. Of course you're going to feel fear. Of course you are. Your parameter of success is nearly impossible. Not only for flawless performance, but you don't know if you're going to retain the approval of the people in the audience. That's up to them. That is not in your hands. So it makes total sense that if the purpose of your performance, if what you are in service of is a flawless performance in order to retain the approval of, or gain the approval of the people in the audience, then it makes sense that you'd be suffering from performance anxiety. An alternative to that is to, instead of having an externally motivated performance, have an internally motivated performance, where, you know, ultimately, you know, it's like, you know, did you play from the heart? Did you try your best? These things are internal to you. Nobody can take those away from you. And, you know, when you're playing as well, like the ultimate level of internal motivation, being in service of something larger than yourself, in a certain sense, is to know that you are the gift, is to be in service of Soulforce. When you are in service of the gift inside you, then Soulforce will flow through you in your performances. You will have no fear, because there's nothing to lose. You are the gift. You can't help but being you when you play. So beginning to trust that, becoming familiar with that, is really the royal road to ameliorating and mastering and, let's say, relieving the performance anxiety. And performance anxiety will be replaced with a heightened sense of energy, an excitement. A greater sense of awareness and connection. So, so that was the fourth pillar, the final pillar of Soulforce music, is to have a purpose, a mission. A purpose is not something external, again. This is something internal to yourself, your own values, your vision for the world and your values, and the things that you can do to bring about a world that you want, to bring about the world that you want. And that is an incredible motivator for practicing and just for artistic life in general. And we really need to have some inspiration and motivation, because this is a hard lifestyle. It's hard to be a musician, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of stick-to-itiveness. So having a clear sense of mission, something that really enlivens you, mission in life, purpose in life, is so important. So all those things address what's going on for Jayden. The chronic pain in his shoulder, is addressed by Alexander technique, by learning how to get more in touch with his body, perhaps, if he were to do this. And getting prepared for graduating Conservatory. It's going to really pay to have all these self-care tools and a sense of purpose and all these things. And then playing from the heart. I hear this a lot from parents of music students, and also from the music students themselves. They don't want music to be a chore. They don't want it to lose its joy. And playing from the heart in the way that we've developed is, an essential part of getting to the essence of what music is all about, what performing is all about, how to keep it joyful and connected. Okay, so if any of this has spoken to you, then please do get in touch. We are at Soulforce Music in the process of developing a whole slew of offerings, mini courses, ebooks, maybe even an app, longer courses, all these trainings designed for real-world challenges that musicians face, solving them in our special way. That is, if I do say so, much more effective than other things in the world, because it's really geared towards musicians, offered by professional musicians, such as myself and my colleague Aaron. And yeah, it really, these are solutions to these problems that really get to the root of the problems. We're not just managing pain, managing stress, managing problems with motivation. We are getting to the root of it, so you can lead an inspired life and give inspiring performances. That's what we do here at Soulforce Music. So please do get in touch. We don't have a website up quite yet, but you can find us at SoulforceMusicSchool@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And please do subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. Will be guided meditations and Alexander technique lessons and announcements about the school and all that kind of thing. More talks like this. Okay. See you next time.